we're gonna pivot here a little bit. Let's get to Congressional District 8. Janak Joshi is joining us on the VIP line. Janak, thanks so much for being a part of the Jeff and Bill show.
You're welcome.
Hey, thank you very much for having me too. I appreciate that. Has been a few years since I have seen you, so nice talking to you and Bill.
Absolutely. So give folks a little bit of your background and why you're choosing to run for Congressional District 8, because traditionally, or in the past, you've been part of the southern kind of Colorado Springs area.
That is correct. Well, what has been going on is we have family in Denver area, and particularly grandkids. So we have been coming there practically every week and spending time with them. So last year or so, we had been talking about moving to Denver area. And we almost bought a home a couple months ago, and it didn't work out. So we kind of started to look around, and then this thing came up about possibility of running. So we said, well, let's kind of look in a little different area this time.
And
we like.
Well, I was going to say, well, we as conservatives have no problem with people to be near their grandchildren. I think that's wonderful, and I'm glad you moved up there to be near them. Give folks a sense of your background. You spent time in the Colorado State House.
Correct. I immigrated legally about 52 years ago, and did my training in New York City area, moved to Colorado Springs, where I have practiced for 30 some years, and also part of the Southern Colorado. I used to have offices in Trinidad, La Junta, Lamar, and so on. And then about 2010, I got elected to the Colorado State House, where I served for 6 years. So got some legislative experience, and as having my own practice, I got my business experience, had over 50 employees, 2 dialysis centers. So had to deal with a lot of government and bureaucratic issues during all that time. I had a connection. Actually, I got my master's in business and healthcare administration from UNC in Greeley. So I have a connection in the district too.
So tell us why you're deciding to run for office.
Well, as you know, many of us who are first generation of immigrants, we are sometimes a little more caring for our nation. And that was one of the reasons why I ran for the State House. And right now, as you know, what is going on everywhere. And again, as you brought up the issue about grandkids, we kind of feel that, are we going to live a better life for our grandchildren like our parents and our grandparents did, or are we going to live a worse for them? And that has always bothered me. And even when I was in the State House, I would thump my fist on the table and say, you cannot steal money from my grandson. And I would vote no if they were increasing the budget or passing more bureaucracy, etc. And my principles are same, which I kind of heard you guys talking a little bit earlier. I mean, basic principles of Republican Party are small government, lower taxes, and less regulations. And that's what we have been fighting all along. And I'm still going to fight for the same thing. I'm not afraid to go against the party if any of those principles are broken. And so I think I can win this district because people are fed up everywhere. But I think, like you mentioned, we got to have some wins. And I think I can win this seat.
We're talking with Janak Joshi. He's running for Congressional District 8, currently occupied by Yadira Caraveo. Let's talk about her leadership of the district. Why is it important to replace her?
Well, I mean, in last 2 years, what has she done? I mean, that's the question.
Yeah.
What kind of issues she has helped to resolve for the district? I mean, we are seeing more and more issues, part of the Well County with the oil and gas. I mean, that was one of the revenue source for the counties and helping the school district and all that. I kind of was looking at it when I was in the State House. Now, as I kind of drive around in the district, going to different meetings and all that, I mean, most of the oil wells are just sitting idle. Nothing is moving. You see them. So that means we lost a lot of jobs. The economy went down. Of course, a lot of immigration issue like everywhere else. This district also has a lot of legal immigrants who have come here, and they are doing well. And many of them are not happy that these people who break our laws and they get ahead in the line when people are waiting either to get their green card or all that. And being an immigrant, I'm extremely familiar with all those processes. So I can actually speak better than many of the people in the Congress what really is going on with the immigration.
Talking with Janak Joshi, he's running for Congressional District 8. Janak, right before you came on, like literally seconds before you got on the radio, U.S. Supreme Court deciding, and it's official, unanimously to overturn the Colorado Supreme Court's decision to keep Donald Trump off the ballot. Give us your perspective on this. You're reading right now on this issue.
Well, I'm not surprised. I think what Colorado Supreme Court did was they kind of stepped over their authority in this particular case. By the way, I have already endorsed President Trump for this election. His policies were great. I mean, we already know he kept the economy going well. Right now, they say, oh, the inflation is down and the unemployment is also down. But anybody has gone to the grocery store recently and seen the prices? I mean, everywhere you go, I mean, prices seems like almost double of anything you want to buy.
Now, I have to interrupt here for a second, though. Is that a function of government? Are those higher prices we're paying a function of government?
Well, because the government is controlling the fiscal policy.
Well, hang on a sec. Wait, hold on. How is the government controlling prices? Fiscal policy is different. You're complaining about price in the grocery store. How is the government controlling the prices you're paying in the grocery store, to be fair?
Sure. Because what happens is when the interest rates are high, and if the economy is not doing well, or if it costs the businesses more to do the business, the prices go up. So right now, if I'm a business, I'm trying to borrow some money from the bank, and now the bank is charging more, I'm going to charge you as a consumer more. And this kind of slowly gets passed on and on and on. And so
then how do we then, with respect,
is important.
How do we then have corporations making record profits if they are so squeezed, so tight that they can't possibly afford these loans? How are they repeatedly over the past 4 years reporting record profits? And I can go through a list of GM, Pepsi, Coca-Cola. I mean, there's a long list of them. How does that happen then, functionally?
Right. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe only 2 weeks ago, Wall Street Journal had an article where big businesses are laying off people. And one company started, and then nothing happened. So the next company started, and then the next company started. And they were saying that this is like a domino effect. Let's lay off the people because nothing is going to happen and our profit margin keeps on going up. So what we as a consumer pay on the grocery store or somewhere else versus how the big companies are working on their books, they are two different issues.
Yeah, I get that, but that's a function of the market, not a function of the government. And that's where I was going. I think that when you're saying that Biden is responsible for the higher prices you're paying in the grocery store, functionally, I don't think that's backed up by how economics works. But I've got a question for you that came from the text messages, and I think this is a fair question. I want to give you a chance to ask it. You just moved into CD8. You talked about how you want to be closer to the grandkids, and that's a wonderful reason. I love the fact that you're coming closer to Denver, that you want to keep the family connected. Talk about getting to know the district. What can you bring with your outside experience into the district? What are you hearing from the voters in the district? And I want to have you create some delineation as far as competitive advantage. What makes you then the better candidate inside CD8 versus a candidate that would say, well, I've been here for so long and you're just coming in and late terming it? What do you think? Talk to me about CD8 and what you're hearing there.
Sure. CD8, the basic issues remains the same right now all over the country. I mean, the economy, jobs, inflation, immigration, those issues are always there. The housing is also another big problem right now too. And again, that kind of ties into the fiscal policy and the interest rates. What I am bringing is, as I said, I am a first generation immigrant. The CD8, almost 40% of it is Hispanic. So many of them have immigrated to this country. There are other immigrants from Middle East, India, Pakistan, and so on. So I can actually relate with them a lot better as a immigrant myself and understand their issues and what they are going through. Number two, as a businessman, I also understand what businesses are going through. A lot of people are being laid off, so on and so forth. Also, the healthcare has been another problem since we got Obamacare. And as a retired physician who ran his own practice, I also understand some of those issues very well. And then being in the state house, I mean, even though you get elected from a particular district, but you have to deal with everything that happens all over the state. So being there for 6 years, and I served on education, finance, appropriation, healthcare, health insurance. I served on so many different committees that I have actually gathered a pretty good experience understanding the issues.
We're talking with Janak Joshi. He's a candidate for Congressional District 8. One of your opponents in the Republican primary is Gabe Evans. Why are you better to serve than Gabe Evans?
Well, Gabe is a nice person. We are just talking about the experience. I have been in the state house for 6 years. I ran my own businesses and everything. And as a congressman, you don't deal with just crime or those issues. You have to deal with everything. And I have a very varied experience, as I said, being an entrepreneur, as a physician with the healthcare, being in the state house for 6 years. Also, something that we will be dealing with is the foreign policy. I mean, all these wars going around, Israel and Hamas and all that. I have actually traveled in almost 126 countries and territories. I have been to Israel twice. Actually, I don't think anybody has been to West Bank. Actually, I went to Ramallah and met with the Palestinians. I have been to Cuba. I visited the former Soviet Union when it was still a communist country. I spent 2 weeks over there. For the healthcare, I have looked at the health systems of Germany, England, Spain, Netherlands, all that back in the 90s when we were trying to bring the socialized medicine. I wrote an article op-ed in Gazette at that time that why are we doing this? They all were telling us don't do it. So I have a lot of different experience. And I have been a very good supporter of the Republican Party over the years. I have supported both as a delegate to many state and county assemblies and have supported also financially and otherwise many of our former congressmen and senators, etc. So I kind of understand how the party system works. So
Janak, I'm going to ask you a series of rapid fire questions here. We're talking with Janak Joshi, who is running for Congressional District 8 to unseat Yadira Caraveo. Immigration, would you support deportation, mass deportation with immigration?
Yes.
Great. Let's talk about sanctity of life. Would you support a national ban on abortion?
If it comes, I will, but I have a feeling that we are not going to have it. Even Trump wants to have a compromise.
Would you support invoking the 25th Amendment to remove Biden from office?
Oh, yeah. I mean, as a medical person, I can see he's not fit.
That's probably one of the best answers we've had. Do you think it's just age? Do you think that's just the problem that Joe Biden's facing right now, or do you think it's cognitive?
Oh, I think it is cognitive. I mean, people are, including myself, I mean, you could be extremely well. It kind of depends on a lot of things. And we have a lot of people who are there in their age, but they function very well. And I think he has some other issues going on. And I have never met the guy, so I can't tell you how. All my medical judgment comes from how he behaves that I see on TV. And definitely, they must be feeding him some drugs to keep him kind of stimulated.
Well, we'll have to see how he performs on the State of the Union this Thursday. Janak Joshi, his website is janak4cd8.com. His first name is spelled Janak. Janak for CD8.com. You can learn more about him. He's in the race in a Republican primary against Gabe Evans, seeking to unseat eventually Yadira Caraveo in a very competitive district. So this is one you're going to want to watch. And Janak, we hope you'll join us on the program in the future.
Yeah, please.
Thanks so much for being on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate having me. And the website again, Janak4cd8.com.
Jeff and Bill, weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on News Talk 710 KNUS.